The artist known as El Greco, the Greek, was really named Domenico Theotokopoulos. Aren't you glad he has a nickname? You can use the name El Greco. You don't have to spell out Theotokopoulos. He was born in Crete, and then he spent some time in Italy and Venice, and eventually he settled in Spain, where he was given his nickname, El Greco, the Greek. And that's because he was born in Crete, and Crete, of course, is an island off the coast of Greece. His style is very often considered to be Mannerist, and as soon as you look at it, you'll see why. The figures are extremely elongated. In other words, they are many heads tall, and they are tall and slender. What might have influenced this? Well, the religion of Greece and Crete is the Orthodox religion, Greek Orthodox. And the art style would be Byzantine, which often had very elongated figures. So he might have been used to seeing elongated saints in the art of his native country. Also, when he got to Venice, he would have seen Tintoretto's elongation, and he would have seen the painterly style of Tintoretto and Titian. So these very well may have influenced him, because those are the things we think of stylistically when we talk about El Greco, these extremely elongated figures, 10 to 14 heads tall, and a very fluid, painterly style. The work we're going to look at is the Burial of Count Orgaz, which was painted in 1586 when El Greco was in Spain, where he settled and lived. And it really is showing you a kind of visionary experience in which the Count is being buried and his soul is carried to heaven by an angel. And that's the detail I'm showing you here. You can see the angel holding this kind of humanoid shape, kind of amorphous without features, and that is to convey the fact that this is the soul of the Count, and he's being brought up to heaven. Now, the Count actually lived in the 14th century. So what is being shown here is a 14th century event, but the clothing and the people, because these are actual portraits, are actually from the late 16th century. So El Greco showed it as though it were happening in his own day. What you're seeing at the top is Christ in heaven. On either side of him are saints, very prominently his mother, the Virgin Mary, and John the Baptist are kneeling before him. And as you can see, the angel is being carried up through a break in the clouds, right up to heaven. And then you see the figures who are on earth, and there is where the body is being buried. And there is a row of people in black with white ruffs, which is 16th century clothing. And these are all portraits of contemporary people. And then you see a monk on the left, and on our right, two priests. And then you see the body of the Count wearing 16th century armor. He's held by St. Stephen and St. Augustine. Now, St. Stephen is the first martyr. He lived in the 1st century of the Common Era. He's not contemporary with the Count, and he's not contemporary with El Greco. St. Augustine, of course, is the bishop of Hippo, and he lives in the 4th and the 5th centuries. He is the very famous theologian who is the author of both the Confessions and the City of God. So What are they doing there? It's as though they came down from heaven to bury the saintly count. And they are shown in these, of course, beautiful ecclesiastical robes. And you might notice that on St. Stephen's garment, there is a kind of square, which is presumably supposed to be embroidery, but really is another little painting showing the stoning of St. Stephen. There's also this figure in the foreground of a boy, which is El Greco's son, I believe, and he's pointing to the count, and he's looking out at us, so he's drawing our attention in. So what you're seeing is a kind of visionary experience. Saints have come down from heaven, the soul is being carried up to heaven, and the style that El Greco uses, the extreme elongation and the fluidity of the paint really do help to convey that feeling of spirituality. I mean, nobody could really be this elongated, this tall and this slender, so it suggests something otherworldly, very spiritual. And the fluidity of the paint strokes, the painterly quality, conveys the feeling of movement and adds to this idea of spirituality.